Hello, beautiful people. I've set myself the challenge to share a bit of my book with you during this month of December as we are finding our way towards the holiday season. And I just thought, well, the evenings are getting dark early, and we like to huddle up in our house in the warmth. So why not share some of the stories of my book? The first story that I wanted to share with you was the actual first story in my book, which is all about finding the courage to be me. Now, just as a little intro, when I wrote this book, it's not even, when I drew this book really, because it is full of images and stories alike. I thought I was drawing images for people to explore themselves. But what became very obvious quite quickly is that I was drawing images for myself to explore myself. Hence the title, Stumbling Upon Myself, because I didn't really do this with intention. So the first story is taken from this very first image, which if you go onto my website and become a free member, you can actually download the image from the member section, and then you can print it and color it if you'd like. So it is the journey to find the courage to be me. A true sense of identity has always eluded me. I used to think that it was because my family and I lived like outlaws, packing our bags and leaving our home and friends with little to no notice. In those days, and here we're talking about the 70s and 80s, some companies highly encourage employees to uproot their family in order to advance their career. In reality, saying no was not really an option, so my dad chose to comply. But he did truly believe it would be a great experience for all of us. We moved every 2 years from the day that I was born up until I was 14 years old. Each time we arrived in a new location, and my goal was very simple: to fit in. For this to happen in the smoothest possible way, I would discreetly observe and assess my environment before stepping into action. Slowly, I adopted the behaviors that seemed to please and stayed well away from those that didn't. I became a chameleon, a performer. By the time I was an adult, I started feeling lost as I morphed into this people-pleasing, confrontation-avoiding human being who didn't know who she was or what she wanted. While everyone else was chasing goals, I was chasing a ghost. Now, I'm not so sure that the constant uprooting really was the culprit of my lack of identity. It was convenient to blame someone else for my inability to know who I was. I was a kid. It was my job to not know and just to let time help me figure it out. While these moves may have caused a fair share of pain and distracted me from following my path to my identity, I think they gave me one thing other children often don't get: the chance to start over. Not all my acquaintances were hard to leave. Sometimes I got myself into situations that had me dreaming of running away. Luckily, all I had to do was wait, because I knew that moving day would come sooner rather than later. Today I explore my identity with great curiosity. I find it fascinating that these pillars which supposedly define who we are can crumble so easily at the loss of a job, a separation, or when grown kids fly the coop. I ask myself, who would I be if I freed myself of this debilitating construct to begin with? I don't have all the answers yet, and I probably never will. But the journey in itself is revealing and has me sitting on the edge of my seat. It was so interesting writing this little story to accompany the page on this journey of finding the courage to be me, because I had to reassess. And this became more and more clear throughout the stories. Some of the stories that I'm telling in this book are so old that I haven't thought about them in many, many years. And as I was writing about them, I would realize that I could change the ending. Not the ending in terms of what happened, but the ending in terms of how I wanted to feel about it. And it was a great exercise. It was really very, healing in a way to realize I don't have to be upset. I don't have to leave this part of my life in that category of things that potentially did me harm, because I forced myself to go looking for what that gave me that maybe other children didn't have, which was the ability to start over when I wasn't happy. And so I look back now upon this time period in a very different way. Not in a way to be upset or blame my parents or my father for not realizing that uprooting the kids could have, a devastating effect on us, because, well, we could never form long-term relationships with people. The only people we could count on for being there all the time was, the sisters and the parents. But to look at it from more the message that maybe the identity quest is my quest, and that is part of my path. That is part of who and what I am supposed to explore during my time on Earth. And the scenario, the story, the way it was presented to me in the 3D world was simply the starting point, was simply a way to get me on that path of exploration. I hope you enjoyed this little story. Maybe it'll make you think about your own situation in some way. If you do want to download this image, go to my website, which you will find the link below, and sign up to be a member and download the image. And the image is called The Journey to Find the Courage to Be Me. I hope you enjoy coloring it, and I hope you'll join me for my next story.